In the heart of Atlanta, a gunshot shatters the silence of a September evening, turning a routine drive into a scene of tragedy. On this particular night, Tex McIver, a well-known figure in the Atlanta legal community, finds himself in a situation that would not only change his life but also end that of his wife, Diane McIver. Tex, a prominent lawyer, and Diane, his wife and a successful businesswoman, were returning from their country estate outside of Atlanta. Alongside them was Diane's close friend, Danny Jo Carter, who was at the wheel of their SUV. The city lights blurred past as they navigated the familiar streets, unaware of the horror that was about to unfold. As they drove, a sudden and unexpected sound, a gunshot, ripped through the quiet of the car. The bullet, originating from a gun held by Tex, who was seated in the back, pierced the front seat and struck Diane. Confusion and panic ensued as Danny Jo, shocked and frightened, rushed towards the nearest hospital. The moments following the discharge saw Diane critically wounded, fighting for her life. Despite the swift drive to emergency care, the efforts were in vain. Diane succumbed to her injuries, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a burgeoning scandal. As Diane's life ebbs away, a complex web of love, money, and mystery begins to unravel. As the sirens wail, the questions multiply. Was this a tragic accident or a calculated murder? In the immediate aftermath of Diane McIver's shocking death, the scene was chaotic. Police and paramedics descended upon the vehicle, a silent witness to the tragedy. The investigation kicked off with urgency as detectives began piecing together the events of that fateful evening. Forensic experts meticulously analyzed the car, focusing on the trajectory and caliber of the bullet that ended Diane's life. Every fragment of glass, every fiber was potential evidence, pointing either to a heartbreaking accident or a sinister plot. Meanwhile, the police interviewed Tex McIver, whose demeanor struck them as peculiar. His explanations seemed rehearsed, his emotions oddly detached. As the investigation deepened, financial documents and emails were scrutinized. It emerged that Tex was entangled in significant financial difficulties, his assets dwindling. This revelation cast a suspicious light on the incident. Could financial desperation have driven Tex to the unthinkable? Adding to the complexities, a search of the McIver home unearthed a hidden arsenal of firearms. This discovery raised critical questions about Tex's familiarity with weapons and his intentions on that ill-fated drive. With each piece of evidence, the simple narrative of an accidental shooting grew more convoluted. Investigators found themselves delving into a tangled web of motives and opportunities, where each clue seemed to weave a darker pattern, casting long shadows over Tex's intentions. In the courtroom, every glance, every word weighs heavy, but will justice be served? As the trial of Tex McIver unfolds, the courtroom is gripped with tension. It's here that the drama of love, betrayal, and tragedy reaches its zenith. The prosecution steps up, presenting a narrative that paints Tex as a man drowning in financial woes, a motive they argue fueled a sinister plot to rid himself of his wife, Diane. Key witnesses take the stand, their testimonies weaving a story of a man who stood to gain substantially from his wife's death. Financial experts detail the debts that burdened Tex, while friends of Diane recount instances that hinted at Tex's growing desperation. The atmosphere is electric, every piece of evidence scrutinized, every statement challenged. On the other side, the defense paints a vastly different picture. They frame Tex McIver as a heartbroken husband, engulfed in grief, whose life took a tragic turn due to a grave yet accidental misjudgment. They argue the shooting was a horrific accident, not the cold-blooded murder portrayed by the prosecution. A firearms expert discusses the potential for accidental discharge, bolstering the defense's claim of a tragic mistake. Throughout the trial, the jury is bombarded with conflicting narratives. Photographs of the couple in happier times contrast sharply with the grim forensic evidence of the shooting. Emotional testimonies from Diane's family and friends pull at the heartstrings, while cross-examinations by Tex's attorneys inject a dose of skepticism. As the evidence stacks up, the lines between accident and intent blur. The courtroom becomes a battleground where the scales of justice waver under the weight of emotion and evidence. Every session ends with the audience on edge, the outcome more uncertain. As the jury deliberates, the air thickens with anticipation, each moment stretching into eternity. A hushed courtroom, a breath held collectively. The verdict is about to reshape many lives. The atmosphere is thick with anticipation as the jury, after weeks of deliberation, files back into the room. Everyone present knows that the decision they carry will echo far beyond the confines of this courtroom. Tex McIver stands, his fate hanging in the balance. As the judge reads out the verdict, the air is punctured by the word guilty. Guilty of felony murder. However, in a twist that sends murmurs throughout the room, he is acquitted of malice murder. This mixed verdict reflects the complexity and controversy that enveloped the entire trial. The public and legal communities react with a spectrum of emotions, from relief to outrage. Some see justice partially served, while others are left grappling with the nuances of the law, questioning whether the truth lies buried under legal definitions. With the bang of the gavel, a chapter closes in the lives of all involved, but the story is far from over. Behind the headlines, the real story often gets blurred. What is the legacy of this tragedy? The Tex McIver case has left an indelible mark on the Atlanta community, the legal system, and all those personally touched by the events of that fateful September evening. In the wake of the trial, the city of Atlanta found itself grappling with a complex web of emotions and questions. The community, once a tight-knit tapestry, now shows the strains of divided opinions. Some see Tex as a cold-blooded killer, while others view him as a victim of circumstance, his life shattered by a tragic accident. This division reflects a broader societal challenge: how quick we are to judge, and how desperate we are for simple answers to complex realities. The legal ramifications of the case have been equally profound. The Tex McIver trial has sparked debates about the integrity of the legal process, the influence of media on judicial proceedings, and the role of socioeconomic status in the courtroom. It serves as a case study in law schools and legal seminars, prompting discussions on everything from the handling of evidence to jury selection processes. Moreover, the case has been fodder for media outlets and has seeped into popular culture, with numerous articles, books, and even a documentary shedding light on various aspects of the case. Each portrayal offers a different perspective, influencing public perception and stirring a mix of empathy and distrust towards Tex McIver. Reflecting on the themes of trust and betrayal, this case underscores the unforeseen nature of human actions. It challenges us to consider the fragility of relationships and the devastating impact of secrets and lies. The ripple effects of Diane's tragic death reverberate, affecting friends, family, and all who knew her, leaving them to navigate a world where justice seems as complex as the human heart itself. In the quest for truth, sometimes the lines between victim and perpetrator blur, leaving us to ponder the deeper mysteries of the human heart. As we reach the end of our tale, the echoes of this tragic story linger in the mind. The case of Tex and Diane McIver paints a haunting portrait of how love can tragically intertwine with betrayal, leading to unforeseen consequences. This story is not just about the loss of life, but about the shattering of trust, the complexities of human emotions, and the unpredictable nature of actions under duress. The courtroom drama peeled back the layers of a seemingly perfect life, revealing financial woes, hidden motives, and a lethal outcome. Each testimony and piece of evidence added depth to a narrative that kept everyone guessing until the very end. The emotional toll on the family, friends, and community continues to resonate, highlighting the profound psychological impact such events can wield. In the shadows of love and loss, the story of Tex and Diane McIver reminds us that reality can be as haunting as any fiction.